The last place I wanted to be was Frostnipistan.
This one's wife. Major eye roll injury. Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor. It's always instructive to see what the reaction of the media is to this one's wife and Harry. In a weird kind of way, they wouldn't really exist that much were it not for the media. The very things that they do, say, where they are, what they're up to, gets repeatedly reported on because the mainstream media knows that there is a ready audience that wants to learn about what they're doing, not because they're necessarily supportive and interested in them, although there is a section of society that is that way, but the larger group want to see the train wreck, that they're waiting to scrutinise whatever it is that this one's wife is wearing, to pick over her behaviours, to demonstrate certain aspects of her personality as a consequence of the things that she says and does. That people are waiting for the next gaffe, the next faux pas, the next act of entitlement, the next snub towards the royal family, the next portrayal of victimhood. And they're often not disappointed because this one's wife, given the fact that she's a narcissist, cannot help but keep behaving this way. If, and it's a big if, the general public stopped commenting upon them, stopped watching what they were doing, stopped dissecting their behaviours, and didn't read the articles, and didn't watch the videos, and didn't engage, then it would soon be the case that mainstream media would realise that the articles about them are not being read as much, not being clicked upon, and that impacts upon advertising revenue. Thus, they would run fewer stories on them, which means there's less material about them, less to pick over, and people would think not particularly interested anymore, and would perhaps look elsewhere for somebody to ridicule, somebody else to learn about. And then this would result in the Sussexes fading into obscurity, which of course is a form of death for this one's wife. But whilst they remain, so many people want to see them fail, not because they're inherently nasty individuals, but because they think that it's only right that this should happen. That these two have behaved in such a reprehensible manner, they want to see them get their just desserts. That their behaviours have offended so many individuals, that they think it's only right and proper that they get to see how they crash and burn, that they run out of money, that they're repeatedly snubbed by organisations, that they continue to engage in self-entitled behaviours within their awful shared fantasy. It's almost as if, well, I've watched it so far, I want to see it to its awful grisly end. And people feel that it's appropriate for them to do so. And thus the media will continue to comment upon them for as long as there's a readership and a viewership. But whereas certain celebrities and stars are reported on favourably, there is a substantial amount of coverage about this one's wife which is unfavourable. Some of it, of course, we know, for instance, from the Daily Mail and the Daily Express, that they're largely always set against her. We also know that the PR publications, the supine publications, are there to support her, and they're biased in favour of her. But then there are also publications that are more, call it as they see it, more objective in their reportage, and indeed realise that the gruesome twosome are a ridiculous pair, and are commented upon accordingly. An example of this comes from Tom Sykes, who writes in the Daily Beast, where he describes the behaviour of this one's wife and Harry in relation to the relaunch of their website as something that's going to induce major eye roll injury. Mr. Sykes writes, Prince Harry and this one's wife's return to public view was always going to be dramatic. If there's one thing their supporters and detractors can agree on, it is their innate talent to cause a stir. On Thursday, during their second day attending the Invictus Games Vancouver Whistler 2025's 1 year to go celebrations, Harry reportedly hit 99 kilometres an hour on a skeleton sleigh on one of the world's fastest bobsleigh tracks. Their photogenic trip to Canada in support of the Games, that are one of Harry's proudest achievements, in chic, snuggly-looking cold-weather clothing, came as they launched a new website, Sussexes.com, which has already been criticised as self-absorbed and aloof by branding experts, while royal insiders have mocked the couple's ambitions to be seen as trying to save the world. Whatever, the website went live on Monday, kicking off the most important week for brand Sussex since the couple left the royal family. The couple also announced that their children, who will henceforth be known as Archie and Elizabeth Sussex, dropping their natal surname Mountbatten-Windsor, which appears on their birth certificates. Sources in their camp tell the London Times that their family will be represented by the new website Sussexes.com, saying it's a hub for the work the Sussexes do, and it reflects the fact the family have, since the King's coronation, the same surname for the first time. That's a big deal for any family. It represents their unification, and it's a proud moment. Harry and this one's wife's reps did not respond to a request for comment from the Daily Beast. However, an apparent suggestion by a reporter from British tabloid The Daily Mirror that this was a make-or-break week for Harry and this one's wife elicited an angry response from a representative for the couple. We've heard time and time again that certain opportunities are make or break for the couple. They're still here. They're still working and pursuing what they believe in, despite constantly being challenged and criticised. This couple will not be broken. It was perhaps an unfortunate outburst, as the new website, Sussexes.com, had very much set out to portray this one's wife and Harry as above the fray, while laying out their stall in bold strokes. The couple positioned themselves as global philanthropists with a modern mercantile twist, writing uncompromisingly, "The office of Prince Harry and this one's wife, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, is shaping the future through business and philanthropy." This one's wife asserts she wants to be a cultural catalyst for positive change, while Harry describes himself as a humanitarian, military veteran, mental health advocate and environmental campaigner, who has dedicated his adult life to advancing causes that he's passionate about and that advance permanent change for people and places. On Tuesday, the new website made its first announcement. This one's wife had landed a new podcast deal with Lemonada. On Wednesday, it was used to showcase the couple spending several hours in Whistler with competitors at next year's Invictus Games, with Harry trying adaptive sports such as sit skiing. And that evening the event ran an item on their Evening with the First Nations. Sources in the Sussex camp also told the Times that the couple are downgrading their old online presence Archwell.com in favour of Sussexes.com, because they want to avoid creating an impression that their firstborn son is more important than their second-born daughter. Visitors to the old Archwell.com web address now find themselves redirected to Sussexes.com, which features a massive photo of Harry and this one's wife, while a link to the Archwell Foundation takes one to archwell.org, where a new simple homepage reads, "Show up, do good." Sussexes.com is certainly a more coherent and cogent offering than the always slightly strange Archwell.com, a name which seemed to mean nothing beyond vague allusions to Prince Archie, which always seemed odd for a couple so obsessed by their children's privacy. Nonetheless, it's easy to mock Harry and this one's wife's grandiosity, and social and mainstream media have been busy doing that this week, as have some at the palace. The Save the World stuff has prompted a certain amount of eye-rolling, one royal source said. The royals prefer to under-promise and over-deliver, to go quietly about their business, to do a lot without shouting about it. This is a diametric opposite of letting actions speak louder than words. It seems like a lot of talk based on nothing, but I don't think anyone really cares, partly because it seems they've been quite careful not to take potshots at the royals. A friend of King Charles said the monarch remained incredibly supportive of his son's philanthropic work, especially the Invictus Games, and referring to his recent cancer diagnosis said he has bigger fish to fry at the moment, but I'm sure his reaction to Harry launching a new website would be good for him, especially if it helps promote Invictus. The royal writer and YouTuber Lady Colin Campbell told the Daily Beast, "It's quite correct that the children's surname is Sussex, but I personally think it's a ridiculous rebrand. The idea seems to be that they're going to change the world through business and philanthropy, when really this is about projecting themselves as the resident royals in the United States. Eric Schiffer, chairman of Reputation Management Consultants, stated they are clearly attempting to reposition themselves as global humanitarian leaders. Will it work? I don't know. For one thing, the website semiotics feel very self-absorbed. For example, in the About page, it says they are shaping the future through business and philanthropy. That is just an utterly bizarre thing to say about yourself from a branding perspective, because it is so vague. What would probably work better, in my view, is doubling down as champions of the issues they are associated with, and that matter to young people, like the environment, equality, and mental health. New York reputation and crisis expert Nora Lawler told the Daily Beast, the style of website, the colour scheme and the use of their crest screams of wanting to be treated as royal or somehow upper echelon. But these same elements, because they're overdone, also give it a slightly aloof feeling, almost like a pseudo-government personality page. At first glance, you wouldn't know whether the Sussexes see themselves as being business people, activists, or an aspirational fashion and lifestyle brand. With the Sussex.com website focus on self, it also makes them seem remote from the people they are trying to help. A balanced appraisal, taking in observations from other people about the website, which includes reference, of course, to causing a major eye roll injury as a consequence of this save the world attitude. Ultimately, what comes from this is that it's not a particularly effective rebrand, and it's invited quite a lot of justified ridicule, which of course sums up the Sussexes. Ineffective and ripe to have the piss taken out of them. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.